G'day! Today's video is a bit of an update on a video that I done 3 years ago, which was simply starting your own phone/computer repair shop and what tips I would give at that point in time. Over the last few years, or last 3 years, that information I believe has changed since I initially gave it out. I'm going to try and cover a large variety of topics in the video, simply how I would begin, what I would be trying to do, what I would be wanting to expanding into, and also what do you pay yourself? So we'll start with the simple stuff. What would I do if I was to start right now? 2 ways of making money. 1, generating money. 2, spending very little money. The less expenditures you have, the more money you can take home. What am I getting at with this? On-site work. So with that, if you do work from home or you do on-site only, with that, you don't have to worry about a second rent, power, internet, heating, cooling, whatever it may be. You don't have to worry about that because you're going to them or you're doing it at home. In some countries, if you do work from home, you are able to deduct various things off your income tax. So for example, I think you can claim certain percentages of your internet bill, your power, the space, the room that it's actually occupying. So for example, if you have a 2-bedroom house and using 1 bedroom, you may be able to claim 20-30% off your rent for that business. Now, I'm not an accountant, so don't quote me on that one. Do look into it, into your region, to verify and make sure. But what I'm more getting at there is, the less you have to spend, the more you can earn. For example, if you don't have any if you do purely on-site, you go to them, you use their power, their internet, or at least excluding your mobile phone or possibly your personal internet, do a bit of research prior. You go on site to the job, you're there for 2.5, 3 hours, you make $100 for that job, potentially more depending on how much you choose to charge. You take that home, you haven't had to outlay any power, and you've been out for a few hours of the day. So it's up to you depending on what rates you need to charge, what rates you can charge, what rates people are willing to pay in your area. There's no point saying charge $100 an hour if there's purely no one in your area that's going to pay that. It's simply not feasible. So I'd be focusing on on-site work. The other thing, the mobile repair landscape is slowly shifting more and more. You either have expensive repairs or dirt cheap repairs. Usually there's not much in the middle there. Why is that? The availability of parts. Parts are very hard to get nowadays, or at least quality parts that are good in price. So for example, if you're looking at Samsung phones, other than if you're trying to repair an S20, like one of the S series or Note series or Z Fold series, their quality parts are going to be very expensive because it's basically only Samsung that manufactures them. You have service pack / original, you have refurbished glass, you have aftermarket OLED, which is normally restricted to 60 Hz, not higher. So on the flagship models that do have a higher refresh rate, the aftermarket screens don't do that. Then you have in-cell, which is an LCD display, which is considerably cheaper, but it's also considerably inferior. It comes down to what you want to offer your customers and how much you choose to mark that up. As long as the customers are aware that the in-cell one is the worst quality that they could possibly get, but it's going to be 1/3 or 2/3 the price of an original screen, or 1/10 of the price of replacing the phone, they very well may want to go down that path. It's up to you to be honest and transparent about what the quality is that your customer is paying for and what they're going to get from it and their limitations of it. You could always try and go service pack, which is the original display. But with the service pack, the dilemma there is, most of the time they're out of stock. No one has them. I end up waiting 6 months to get a S23 Ultra display in at my work. Just nowhere had them. Previous year I got an S21 Ultra aftermarket OLED, just because I couldn't get anything. I waited 8 months, so I ordered the Chinese one. Touch issues, 60 Hz restriction, so the smoothness of the screen wasn't there. Noticeable color differences. I believe the underscreen fingerprint reader didn't also work either. That's all I could get. So it is tougher to be able to repair the things with the genuine parts, not even genuine, just good quality parts. For example, Apple has serialized their screens, batteries, cameras. Usually changing those will produce a message saying that they've been changed and they may not run at the same capability of the original part. So you do need to make sure your customers are aware of that. Some do care, some don't care. It usually comes down to price. Price and time. The quicker you can get stuff, or if you have them on stock, the more happy people usually are to repair it. As with anything, if I walked into a shop and they said, how long? And I said, I've got to wait 2 weeks for the part. Or they said to me, wait 2 weeks. They're like, oh, well, I've got time now to leave it with you for a day. But if you don't have it, I won't bother. I'll go get another one. And that's what some people do. Find on the PC repair side of things, if you're more focusing on the PC repairs than the mobile phone repairs, I do find you have to be a jack of all. I work on laptops, desktops, tablets, phones, simple soldering jobs, any other random electronics that may need a screen replacement or something to that effect. I'm usually happy to look at it. And with that, you become the point of call for your community. If people come in and they've all of a sudden, oh, I know the circuit board, the charging port on my random tractor GPS is broken, or the touch panel is on that broken, where am I going to go? First point of call, they come see me. If I can't do it, I try and point them to people that can. That's it. As long as you don't say, I cannot do it, I don't know where to do it, they're going to go, well, that was a disappointing waste of time. If you can help people and push them towards the repair that they're after, typically then people will be pretty happy with you and usually come and see you and happy to spend money with you. Granted, the majority of that of you becoming the hub normally usually involves a physical shop, which may or may not be applicable at your initial starting. At least if you're easily contactable, simply via email, phone, SMS, Facebook, whatever it may be, whatever you choose to be contactable on, as long as you're able to be contacted on, people are normally reasonably happy with that. Especially if you're starting out fresh, if you're completely in a new area and you've never offered this form of support before, it may take a while before you start getting picked up by people, before your name starts to spread around the community that you live in. But with that, usually if you do a few good jobs, people are happy, happy people talk. Sadder people shout. So if you do bad jobs and you're only just starting out and you're ripping people off or the quality of the work is poor, then you're probably going to end up with a bit of a bad name, which may or may not be warranted. That's just something you'll have to deal with. Let's say you do go down the path of a brand new or having a shop. You may not necessarily need to be in the most central location. My workplace is just off the main CBD, or it's within the CBD, but it's not in the main street, which means I don't get much walk-by traffic. But at the same time, if people are coming to me, they're coming to me with a purpose and a reason. If they're coming to me with a purpose and a reason, it's either for me to fix something, them to buy something, or me to offer a service. So usually there's intent. Usually try and make sure you've got ample parking out the back, especially if you're dealing with older customers. If you've got a single car park out the front and you're in a small to large town, that may not be enough. Someone might park in front of your store and be there for the next 8 hours, or park in front and walk off and go to work. That's also happened in front of mine. Where those things you do need to factor in for. Is your workshop going to be accessible to the public? Is it going to be easily parked at for the customer or by the public? And also, when you do have a store, what do you supply it with? I do typically keep a whole range of things. I'll usually have a few laptops on hand ready to go, a desktop computer available, various upgrade parts for current computers and previous generation computers. So AM4 motherboards, DDR4, DDR5, laptop RAM, laptop NVMe's, desktop hard drives, keyboards, mice, screens, cables, all the various things. One other thing, if you are starting out, I do recommend, if there's no video game store nearby, controllers. Everyone's after them. Everyone likes them. Even if essentially you buy on special and then sell at retail, make up the difference there. It's better than sitting in the bank. I find that the simple rule of if you don't have it, you can't sell it. So sometimes I buy stuff, it might be I'll make 10% of what it's worth, So I'll buy an item at $100, sell it at $110 just because nowhere has it available and I'm out of stock. At least making $10 on that single sale that cost me $100 is something. It's just money that was going to sit there in the bank and not do anything. It's better off making me a small income rather than no income. Which brings me on to another point of income. Second-hand devices. Second-hand laptops are always popular. Second-hand iPhones are always in demand. The ratio of people asking to sell versus the ratio to buy is probably 10 to 1. No one really wants to sell because they know someone that always wants one of these phones. So you really rarely get traded in iPhones. Same with Samsungs. Most people just buy a new Samsung, don't worry about the old one. But especially the iPhones, I have so many people coming in going, do you have them, do you have them? But at the same time, I don't find them at the prices I'm willing to spend. So if I look online, they're usually too expensive that I wouldn't bother buying them. I'd much rather buy them locally off a local customer, local member of the community, and then sell them from there. Another thing to get really good with is any local e-waste recyclers in your area. Picking up, having a look out there once a fortnight, once a month, whatever it may be, depending on their rotation of stock, it very well may be a very financially viable thing to do. You might go out there and see some 5-year-old laptops, and if they allow you, they may allow you to offer to purchase it from them, or they may already have it up for sale. But you might be able to buy these machines for $50 each, and then put them in your shop, new thermal paste, upgrade the RAM, put an SSD in there, check them out, make sure they're all good, and then sell them for $150, $200. That's something that's a quick turnaround, and people are usually happier to buy cheaper items than more expensive items, especially in the current economical times. Another factor in there is insurance. You'll have to factor that in if you do open your own premises, and potentially even if you don't. Insurance is fairly costly, or can be fairly costly, so it is probably worthwhile checking out. Your accounting software, whatever you use there, be it an Excel spreadsheet, be it Xero, be it MYOB, various other banking apps from there. Which then brings me on to your pay, or paid holidays. If you're working for yourself, you can't just take a week off. If you want to take that week off, you have to either A, work harder, B, save better, or at least work towards that. If I know that I'm taking a week off work in a month's time, I'm going to make sure there's going to be money in the bank at that point in time. So when my pay goes through, or transfer my pay, it's not going to throw the business out. You do need to have a bit of foresight with you. You do need to know when your taxes need to be paid. In Australia, they're paid quarterly. So you do need to make sure there is money there to pay them when it gets to the end of that quarter. You can go on payment plans and stuff like that depending on your region, but you shouldn't really have to if you calculate it correctly. So you do have to have a bit of foresight with your own business. You can't just sit there and go, oh wow, I've got 20 grand in the bank. And then you go off and spend 10 grand of that on something that you want to buy and then find out, oh no, I need to pay my taxes. How much are they? 15 grand. Oh no, that is not good. That's not where you want to be. You want to make sure before big purchases that you do actually pay your bills, your taxes, before you actually outlay that large amount of money. If all of a sudden you go, I can order 10 laptops for 5 grand right now. My taxes are due in a week. Probably should hold off that 5 grand purchase till you know how much money you actually have sitting there, rather than looking at what seems to be an artificially inflated amount of money that you've got to spend, and in reality you don't. I do find that the most IT stuff nowadays in 2024 has slowly skewed towards services. People forgetting passwords, people forgetting accounts, people needing access to an account they've forgotten details to. That's something that you could potentially sink hours into, which is also something you could charge hours for. But you need to be able to sit there and do that. If you do have a physical shop, that's something that you can't really offer, or at least I don't offer, because it's something that I cannot predict how many interruptions I'll have while I'm trying to help that customer. And typically with account recovery, you do need the customer there to go through the details and their information that they know that you don't know, to be able to retrieve whatever it is you're trying to get. Be it a Facebook account, an Instagram, a Hotmail, eBay, whatever it may be. You do need the customer there for that. And that's where the on-site work would come into play and potentially be a good revenue stream. Anyway, that's going to do for today, but I hope I did cover a few things. You can check out my older videos that I did cover regarding starting your own PC phone repair shop 3 years ago. Then after that, I did produce a short playlist of around, I think it was about 10 to 20 videos covering various topics and various points of emphasis. So check those out, so you hopefully get some useful information out of that. And good luck with your business ventures. I'm going to see you later now. Bye.